Hello and welcome back to the Flexline Media coverage of the back nine of our first round feature card for the ILT Southern Smash 2023 New Zealand National Champs. I'm Ashton Clark and I'm back in the booth with Chris Hoopmann.
Cheers Ashton, massive thanks to ILT for covering this coverage. It's been great to watch our feature card crush this course. They're travelling pretty well considering, conditions are pretty windy out there, so see how they approach this back nine.
Yeah, so currently we've got Ethan out the front of the card with 5 down. He's playing pretty smooth and bogey free. Ryan Cambridge, 3 under. He's tracking real nicely as well.
Tied with Nate Perkins. And then we have Francis Orange, ran into a bit of trouble, couple of bogeys and double bogeys on the front nine. He's sitting at tied 13th at 1 under par.
Yeah, he's still got plenty of holes to get his round back together though, so he's a good golfer. We'll see what happens on the back nine. Going into hole 10, we've got a par 4, 164 metres straight ahead, wide open fairway with OB either side, and once you get up to about 160 or 150, or somewhere in there, you've got a giant OB golf green, so if you go too far, you're going to be OB.
Basically just plays as like a pond that you can get your disc out of.
Yeah, I don't think too many people in the field are worrying about going on the green, but definitely the opportunity with this tailwind.
Did Francis just find a little kick out back into the fairway? That's pretty neat.
A little bit of tree love there. As you can see, if you didn't watch the front nine, we've still got plenty of wind about, and it is really swirly. So I think the players are looking at a big tailwind off the tee here. Might have been a part of that low drop out of Nate there. So going short off the tee here really sets you up for a scary second shot, having to carry that OB green, and then you've got OB long of the basket as well.
Beautiful rip from Ryan. That was his grace. I know that he was leaning on that off the tee quite a bit this weekend.
Right, Nate going for the forehand again. Really just trying to check up on the front of that hill.
Ooh, found a bit of edge and skipped over it.
He found the landing zone, but didn't quite get the reaction he was looking for off the hill, I don't think. He'll still be within the circle, though, for a birdie putt.
Francis with a zone approach. Drifting a little further left than you'd really want. He's just outside circle.
I wonder if we'll see anyone challenge the green with a sliding putter. There we go.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Little skip up. That was nice and tidy. And Ryan's done really well also.
So most players edge of or inside the circle. Good up shots from the bunch.
Ooh. That's
roll back in. Come on.
Unexpected. I don't even know if that was a run or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It was like
in
halfway,
between, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, he's pretty lucky to roll back in there. That would have been a pretty unfortunate. Yeah, and it's rolling again. Maybe slightly in two minds about the putt there.
I mean, you could hear the wind.
Yep.
Oh, and that was almost two left as well. So Nate pretty lucky to walk away with just a bogey. That could have gotten pretty messy. And that's the first bogey Nate has carded for the tournament.
Not the hole I would have expected it on either. It's a pretty... Well, there's a lot of OB close to the green, but it really didn't come into play too much. It's a great birdie from Ryan there. Continuing his clean round. And Francis not looking too stoked to be taking a par there, but no damage.
And Ethan progresses to 6 under, doing well. On to hole 11, par 5. First of the big ones, 328 metres. This one has artificial OB shaped down the fairway. There's kind of a little pocket on your left first, and then there's a pocket on your right as you head further down, probably about 100 metres apart from each other. So you really have to decide whether you want to push the OB or lay up, and yeah, this one's a doozy.
Yeah, it's pretty twisted from Johnny, I'd say. He's found the most common landing zone, I think, for most people's drives and gone, we'll just call this little bubble here OB, where everyone's going to be checking up. And then he's done it again for the second shot. So it really makes you check your game and say, am I going to throw shorter than 90 off this massive par 5? And it feels a bit weird, but it's probably the smart option.
Yeah, I mean, even Ethan with the left-hand drive to kind of take advantage of the safe zone still goes OB left, and now Ryan's gone OB right. So
yeah, I'd say if the OB didn't narrow down at about 100 metres, people are probably not going to be going OB as much. I think it just gets in your head thinking you have to throw something a bit shorter.
Francis checks up just in front of it, which was pretty fortunate. And that forehand is just turned too far over from Nate, and he's gone out of bounds as well. So 3 from 4 OB, which is probably pretty representative of quite a few cards, honestly.
Definitely getting people over the weekend.
The fairway's relatively flat. There are a couple of little mounds that can be a little bit awkward for your run-ups, and potentially some ground action if you're particularly unlucky. But I guess the main aim of this hole is just to stay down the middle and throw it consistently. And as we see, Ethan going OB on the right side, so he's having a bit of a rough time.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of a trend for a lot of players trying to almost bite off a bit too much with the narrow fairway. I think I saw the most success come from people who just kind of decided to take a par and throw a mid-range straight each time and try and find the centre.
Yeah, that play definitely progressed. I noticed while I was out taking pictures, the speed of the disc definitely decreased throughout the tournament from the tee.
People kind of figured out that you didn't really need a birdie on this one to get strokes.
Yeah, this one playing as the hardest hole on the course at plus 1.23 over par.
Another OB, so much narrower than it looks. I think all these players you'd expect to be able to find the centre, but obviously playing pretty hard with the swirly wind.
Yeah, Francis is actually doing really well. His tee shot really set him up for success, being so close to that left side of the first little OB bubble.
Yeah, for sure. Had a lot of space to use the whole width of the fairway and swing one back into the centre. Ethan with a nice shot inbounds this time, but not quite as close as he probably would prefer. And it's rolling away.
Weird, anti-gravity roll there. I'm not quite sure what I'm looking at.
Alright, Nate will want this one under the pin. Looks good out of the hand.
Just needs to check up. The green does sort of slope away on the backside, so if you come in a bit too hot, you can be moving further away.
And just to finish it off, there's a circle of OB around the basket as well, probably a few metres outside of the circle, I think. So if your upshot gets a little bit out of control, you can find the OB again.
Well, that checks up well for Francis. Still a pretty nervy putt. He'll probably have some of his previous holes in the back of his mind, wanting to make those putts.
Yeah, I think when you get up to the screen, if you don't have an easy run, it's hard to think, I'm going to have to take a 6 or a 7 or something and just lay it up, but it's probably the best option. You can see in this shot here, there is actually quite a steep hill down to the OB.
Francis coming up low, and he'll have a putt back towards that slope.
So I don't actually know what everyone's putting for here. There was a lot of OB strokes in there, but Nate coming out with a 6 is actually getting strokes on the field, so just shows how hard this one's playing.
And there you have it. Francis with the great drive, still carting the bogey, so you can definitely lose control pretty easy.
There we see a big number. That's contributing to the average there, probably a double for Ryan.
Hole 12, par 5, 360 metres. This one's playing a lot friendlier than the previous par 5, going back uphill. I'm not sure if it was the wind or the lack of OB. No OB on this one apart from the far right-hand side. And then the basket position between these two trees.
Yeah, this was I think, mainly a tailwind over the weekend, and really the shape of the fairway lent itself to that big Anheuser right-hand distance shot, so it was, even though it was a bit longer than the previous hole, it's a little bit easier to get down there. Francis showing you why with the full flight on that one.
It's an absolute smash. This needs to turn, but with the uphill gradient, a lot of them were just kind of hyzering out into this tree, which does make the next throw quite tricky.
Yeah, you really just want to be putting it in the centre on these par 5s. I think most players in the open field have got the distance to birdie this one, so just keeping it in the centre is the main thing. Ethan's not quite pinched by the tree, but it might affect him a little bit. Ryan's cut this one inside. Can he get through clean? It looks like it, and he's going to end up in a perfect spot.
That's way up there.
Yeah, you can actually make it a little bit shorter by playing close to those trees on the inside of the corner as well. Bit of a nose up forehand there. Hopefully he doesn't find the OB over there.
I think the OB is closer to those trees, the bushier trees, so he should be safe. Ethan throwing possible. I'm not sure if that was meant to be a roller.
I hope so.
It's not going the correct direction for him, unfortunately. It's rolling back down the fairway of 11.
Yeah, maybe not the intended outcome, but throwing a roller from under a tree is probably a pretty tough ask. Francis with a great drive, hoping for this one to fade out, and
that's fantastic.
He's way down there for 2. So he should be looking at a pretty standard upshot from there. If you get 2 full rips, it's pretty simple into the green.
It's a low release from Ryan, but fortunately his tee shot was far enough up that that's still pretty good going for a second. Ethan getting crunchy under those eucalypts and almost hitting me with his upshot. Not quite there, but he'll have a nice easy approach.
So Nate's still got some trees to deal with. He's going for the big anhyzer, hoping to fade
could even be a
back
roller
into the centre. Oh. Yeah, called that one a bit wrong. Looks like he's nailed this.
Just leaking right a little bit. And he's probably wanting that to sit down as fast as possible, but
yeah, hey,
I mean, he's pin high.
He's right up there from halfway down the fairway. It's a great effort.
Ryan with another great rip. He's done fantastic on this hole.
Yeah, that's a long shot from where he is. I think he's looking at probably 130 from him there.
Maybe Ryan should just only play uphill fairways, because it really seems to be working for him.
I didn't seem to notice the uphill too much while playing it. It seemed pretty flat, but
okay.
Maybe because it was so long, kind of from the tee to the basket, a bit of elevation, but it might have been quite small. Nate with a little windy run there.
Yeah, another one of these gusts similar to what we saw on what was it, hole 7.
Yep, the wind playing with that one as well. He gave it decent height and then it just got slapped down. So this will be a birdie putt for Ryan, I think.
Fantastic birdie.
Yep, that's a great bounce back from the previous hole.
Yeah, definitely getting strokes on the field. This one not playing as challenging as hole 11. This one was just basically par. Negligible difference. So maybe a couple of lessons learned, or maybe a few arms warmed up on hole 11. So coming into hole 12 with a bit more optimism.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a pretty similar distance, but you have to play it completely opposite. With the lack of OB, you can really open up on this one, and you've got to be quite careful on hole 11.
Hole 13, par 4, 159 metres. This one playing into a wooded area. There's there's a Mando on the right to keep you on the left-hand side. And then it just basically opens up to the basket in the middle of an open section. So placement shot off the tee, making sure your route's as friendly as possible to get to the basket.
This is another one I found pretty enjoyable to play on the weekend. There were lots of people taking alternate lines. I saw lots of rollers on the hole as well, I think was a good option. Also a couple of big spike hyzers over the left side trees there. playing down the fairway of 12.
I've noticed a trend with the holes that you like, Ashton. They seem to be the ones that are open tee shots and then kind of technical wooded approaches.
I just think I enjoyed the ones where it tests a few different things in one hole. So you've got a lot of options off the tee and then trying to find your way through narrow gaps into the basket.
Ethan, this one is going to sneak past the Mando. He didn't hit the probably the line he wanted, unless he was going for a big flex. Francis keeping that nice and low, curling up nicely. Ooh. Nate's getting a little bit patchy at this point of the round.
Yeah, hopefully he can pull it back together. That was I'd expect that to be a pretty standard up shot for Nate, but keeping it low, that's a few low forehands we've seen so far in the back nine.
And as expected, Ryan, great touch.
Yeah, smooth and consistent as always. Sneaky little run from Nate.
Yeah.
Leaves himself close.
Great birdie from Francis. He's back under par for the round. He's done well to keep in it, I'd have to say.
Yeah, a little bit of a roller coaster, but he's definitely holding it together. Ethan back to 5 down with that one.
Nate, not the back nine would be stoked about.
Yeah, it's not the birdie he was looking for on the hole, but par's not going to hurt.
Hi, I'm Innova Team Captain Nate Sexton. Welcome to our instructional disc golf series. Maybe even bank over to the right, and that's going to give the putt loft. Slight flex line, so you'll see this come out a little bit higher to give you a variety of different shot shapes. The farthest away player should go first towards the basket.
Here we go. Hole 14, or otherwise known as 1 to 2 on the original Queen's Park course. We've got a dead straight tunnel, 145 metre par 4, and it's narrower than it looks on film. I think a lot of people are just trying to get to park where the normal basket 1 would be, or tee pad 2, and then throw the same shot again to give themselves a potential look at birdie, but once again, par's getting strokes on this hole.
Yeah, there is OB, path on the left and fence on the right, but you'd be pretty unlucky to reach those because... Oh, unless you hit that.
Unless you do that, yeah.
I'm not sure if Ryan drifted OB there. But yeah, there's a pretty dense trees on both sides, so obviously playing up the middle.
Yeah, if you take it a metre left or right of the fairway here, you've pretty much got nothing and you're pitching out, so...
Great local route there from Ethan, keeping it nice and low, using the ground to his advantage.
And Nate with the flip up forehand, putting a little bit too much on it, but I don't think he kicked too far right. All right, Ryan's out to the left here, and come on, get up. Oh, that's amazing. Yep. So I've seen some people play down the road before, but I've never seen them do it like that.
Yeah, that basically stayed on the ground for like 95% of the throw, and then finally caught edge and came back inbounds, which is quite remarkable.
I like to think that's what he was going for. Yeah. I'll give it to him. Well played, Ryan. The 50-metre slider.
Yeah.
It's not a shot I've got in my bag.
So this is pretty representative of a lot of the golf you're going to see on this hole. Just people in quite awkward positions trying to get up.
That's the shot that this hole reminds me of. Francis standing in a bush, throwing a 4-metre forehand. Which is well played, actually, because he's back in the middle now and he can attack again.
These Guardians make it tricky.
Yeah, if you don't play it perfectly, you can pretty much count on being in a bush at least once or twice. So you've really just got to make sure that you chop off distance with your shots. like Nate's playing the hole. He's been on the left side in the bushes both shots, but he's up there with a putt for par now.
Oh, that's a very unfortunate roll.
So silly.
Yeah, it was a bit silly. Silly tree.
All right, Ryan has to get back onto the main fairway. So he punches through pretty well, actually.
Yeah, not the conventional way to play the hole, but he's done pretty well. If you told me you played up the road, I'd be guessing you'd taken a 6 or a 7, so...
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing, that shot there. Francis with the wee backdoor into the green.
Yeah, kind of juiced it a bit too much. He's inside circle, but he might... Oh, he's got an open look, actually. Not quite converting on his putts this round, Francis. Here's Nate. See if you can recover from that really unfortunate roll. Airball.
He's sailed it past. Yeah, this basket is tucked really close to a lot of trees, as you can see here, so you can be well within the circle and be left with an awkward straddle just because the hole wasn't hard enough already.
Yeah, this is like such a brutal hole because you've been battling your way up the fairway for the last 140 meters, and you walk up to your putt, and there's a tree like right in your line, and you're like, if I was 2 meters to the left, I'd be great. Double bogey from Ryan, so yeah, went OB off the tee. Double bogey from Francis. Didn't go OB, but just ran into a lot of
Two completely
natural
different
OB.
ways to take a 6, but they all happen pretty quickly on this one. I think the hole playing 5.09 for the weekend, so the double bogey slightly behind the pack, but not too much damage.
Hole 15, par 4, 191 metres, back out in the open. We're on the other side of the golf course now. Straight, wide open tee shot, going downhill, and then a approach into a pretty tight spot between a green and OB.
Yeah, this is almost a copy-paste of hole 10, I think, but slightly downhill fairway, and you're a little bit closer to the hedge on the right, so if you played hole 10 well, you're probably going to do pretty well here. Just get a drive right down there, slide your upshot across the green.
Some good ground action for Ryan, sliding up there. Francis rocking the jacket. It actually, there was a bit of a backup on hole 14, and it did cool down as we were heading into the evening, so not surprising.
Yeah, there were a few pockets of really heavy rain throughout the day as well. I think this card might have managed to miss them, but definitely in the morning before this, there was some really heavy rain.
It's a crush from Nate.
Yeah, anything down in the catchment area at the bottom of that hill, you know you've thrown a bomb.
That was his Zen 2, his signature disc, back from Discmania.
Yeah, I love an Essence. They've got sneaky distance. They always go pretty much as far as your 12 speeds if you hit them right.
Francis with a touchy forehand approach, but he's actually been pretty solid with his forehand approaches all round, so he makes short work of that. That's a great one.
Yeah, there's another one. He'll be tapping in a bird from there. Ethan with the low straight shot.
No dramas.
Absolutely nailed it. Is that Kia again out of Nate?
Yeah, a bit of wind action, but manages to make it over the green.
Alright, so we've got a putt off. Everyone's in a pretty similar spot here. And these look really close to the basket, but they're no gimmies with the wind that's out there.
Slightly raised, OB behind. It's quite nice design that they've managed to put a couple of features on the greens.
Yeah, that little OB flag there showing you it's a pretty stiff tailwind for these putts, so one of the nicer winds, I think, for this basket, but definitely wasn't the case for the rest of the course. And with Francis closest to the pin, I'd say we're looking at a wee star frame here.
There we go. Good to see.
Yeah, nice, Ethan.
Ring it up.
Hole 16, we've got a par 3, 115 metres. There's a OB golf green and bunker to the left, so you don't want to be fading out early. And there is OB really far through the bushes to the right if you manage to find that as well. But it really just asks you to throw a hyzer shot over the OB green or something dead straight.
Yeah, looking at the footage here, I think their main concern at this time of day is the wind. It's absolutely roaring.
No worries for Ethan though, he's showing you the hyzer over the OB bunker there. Ryan with the righty backhand looking to turn one in and finish straight towards the pin. And he's managed to sneak through the trees to circle's edge. That's pretty good in the wind.
Francis with the forehand.
Yeah, so 3 different approaches so far. Let's see if they can all get it in the circle.
And that's beautiful.
And
wow.
yeah, that's deserved of a follow flight, I'd say.
Just the perfect line, really.
Yeah, perfect distance control as well.
Not flashy, but it's exactly what you want.
Just enough to get it over that bunker and then skip into the basket. So Nate saw that park job and he's like, I'll do that as well.
Keeps it low, though, and gets a big reaction off the
Massive
green.
flare, yeah.
But, hey, they all work.
Yep.
Ooh, great run from Ryan. Just left side. Perfect height.
A few drops of rain coming in now, I think. So hopefully they're feeling the putts and they're warmed up enough from the rest of the round that it won't affect them. But coming down the stretch, it could definitely get in your head, I think.
Nice. Good couple of birdies, and Francis should be able to tap his in. Unlucky for Ryan that he couldn't get 2 in a row, 2 star frames in a row. That would have been pretty special.
That's a great birdie from Francis there. And Ryan with his first par of the back 9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a little bit unlucky with those 2 sixes, I think, in there, but
Hole 17, par 5, 275 metres. This one's just pretty stock standard, just keep it down the middle. There's OB on the right straight off the tee, but not too many players would drift into that. If you keep it as close to the right-hand side at the end of your drive, you'll be having a bit more of a friendly approach. There's this open gap here that you want to try and hit into the green because the trees on the left do make it quite tricky.
yeah, so the final par 5 of the course, I think there was 4 of them out there. Most of them relatively wide open down a golf fairway, but with this wind you can definitely find yourself in a bit of trouble.
Ethan's staying pretty close to the right side, which will
Yeah,
be alright, you'd have to say.
yeah, it's a decent shot. There's a big ditch across the fairway. I think anything over the ditch and you've definitely got yourself a decent drive for a birdie look. Francis fading out over to the stumps. It's not a bad spot to be, but it can be pretty tricky footing over there if you get unlucky.
Yeah, it's good distance, but just kind of hard to find a good run up. This is great from Nate, staying on the fairway.
Yeah, that's a really good spot to be. The further left you are, if you have the extra distance on it as well, you kind of open up your shot into the green for a swinging hyzer. Ryan probably going to be pretty close to him over there if we get a bit of ground play.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a good spot to be. I'd say Ethan's just probably trying to hit the mouth of the gap. But it looks like it's actually drifted left far more than he would have wanted.
Yeah, I think he
Not
got a decent amount of distance
Yeah,
there though. So
he's definitely up there.
I'd back him to put one into the circle from there.
As you can see, Francis really struggling with his run up. He had to kind of just do 2 steps. And that possibly influenced his release.
Yeah, it looked a little bit uncomfortable there. I'd say that was definitely a factor in the throw, but he was also throwing into a ripping headwind, so...
Fortunate to get a nice kick out as well.
Yeah.
You can be pretty deep in those trees and not left with a lot.
Ryan just chopping off some more distance. That's all you really need to do a couple of times to have the birdie look on this hole. Don't really have to overcomplicate it, just throw something up the middle. Nate getting some nice turn on this one. That's going to put him really close to the Guardian trees.
Yeah, that's a great second shot. I love a nice, simple approach from there.
Yeah, we
wide
chip
open.
Kia, maybe. Francis forced to the forehand from the edge of the hedge there.
Oh, bad luck. Francis throwing a forehand. Worst case scenario.
Yeah, he's nailed that one. Can't really expect too much more from where he was.
So Ethan with a left-handed backhand approach, he's going to have to try and navigate these trees, which protect the green. And he did try and use the ground action, but that headwind just really stopping any forward momentum off the skip.
Ground maybe a little bit wet at the moment as well. Might be getting sticky.
Super wide approach out of Ryan, and he has landed OB.
Yeah, so with the height he gave that, I almost would have expected it to be pushed back in by the wind. He was probably thinking the same thing, so maybe a bit unlucky there, but...
Huh. I mean, that was a clear approach from Nate, but a little bit too left. Maybe trying to stay out of the OB, and, Francis getting denied by the trees.
Everyone playing it pretty cleanly until the final upshot, looks like. So Ryan with the OB stroke, that would have been a putt for par, I think. And Francis forced to lay up with the low ceiling.
It's disappointing. Everyone was pretty decent down the fairway, but just, this green is a little more complicated than expected.
Yeah, I think that wind's kicking up a little bit as well at the end of the round here.
That being said, Nate cutting the birdie.
Yeah, we Turkey as well, as the weather's starting to pack in. It's pretty impressive to get the round back on track after a pretty slow start to the back nine.
Maybe some of that veteran experience keeping him together. Ryan unfortunately carding the bogey, sitting at 1 under par overall. And the same score for Francis. He's at even, and par for Ethan at 6 under par. Into the final hole.
We made it, hole 18. We've got a 115 metre island hole, so everything outside of the hay bales and the back wall that you see is playing as a hazard. There's some OB on the right over the hedge, and the bunker inside the hay bales is actually hazard as well. So there's a lot of ways to take bogeys on this hole, and Nate has not found any skipping off the final little lip of the bunker there.
Incredible.
Yeah, I think the forehand with the right to left headwind was definitely the percentage play, but maybe a little bit lucky to catch the last bit of grass there, but he was probably over it anyway.
Ethan using the hedge as a bit of a backstop. He's just in bounds.
So our first two players, maybe with a little bit of luck there to keep in bounds. What can Francis do?
Kept
low driven forehand.
Super low. And
reaction from the crowd. I think it's a good one.
that is...
Did he cross in bounds?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what the card says. I think this is a really good final hole for the course. Having the island and all of the OB areas everywhere.
Great straight shot from Ryan.
Ryan shows you how to play it with another crafty's follow flight. Keeping it that straight and that right to left.
It's going on a ride.
Headwind is... That's a beautiful shot.
That was pretty exciting. But great result from Ryan. He'll be happy with that.
Yeah, what I was saying before is I love this final hole because of the clubhouse right there. You've got all the players that have already finished their round or up to having their lunch or something. You've got everyone peering out the windows watching you, so it's a bit of added pressure, but it's also great just for the spectator aspect of the tournament.
Such a great final hole. Good for scoring as well because you can get some swings.
And there's a nice area just off the green as well where players will meet up after they finish their rounds, some benches and everything like that. Really good atmosphere on the course as Nate finishes with his birdie for 4 in a row.
Yeah, Nate will be finishing up at 3 under, which is pretty decent.
Yeah, it was looking a bit shaky for a minute there, but he really finished strong.
Unlucky bogey for Francis, finding the hazard there.
Yeah, it's some pretty good birdies in there throughout the round though, so he'll be looking to tidy that up for the rest of the tournament.
Great birdie for Ryan to finish up at 2 under par, and Ethan tapping in a great round, hot round actually, for the first round at 6 under par.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. Here's another look at that treacherous tunnel hole.
Looks great until it hits a tree.
Yeah, and the wind playing with it in the trees as well. So Ethan out the front currently with his 6 under, followed by Jay Watkinson, the reigning New Zealand champ, with a 4 under.
We have Maxime and Nate rounding out what will be the lead candidate round 2, also tied at 3 under par. That you'll have to jump over to the MDG Disc Golf channel. They're covering the lead cards for rounds 2 and 3. But it's been great having you with us for this feature card.
Yeah, thanks for joining us for the feature card action of the ILT Southern Smash.
Big shout out to Disc Golf South for putting on nationals this year. It was a fantastic event. And keep your eyes peeled because we might have some special content coming to you soon. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you at the next one.